You all should see my screen there, and I hope I don't mess this up when I click this button here. But what I did want to touch on and just go through a quick intro. We will not offer CPE for this session. And again, because Matt or Blake had a death in his family, so he's not able to present it. He had all of the data, all the information. Now, again, just want to encourage you to hang around because I do want to go high level on this because we have gone through this process with him and it's free. And he has in the PDF that we'll share with you at the end, or actually Matt can go ahead and drop it in the chat now. In that PDF, he has a link to his calendar where he'll walk you through, he'll produce a customer journey map for you. And what it did for us was really helped us have a third party looking at what we're doing because we see it all day, every day. We're kind of blind to it or numb to it. So we had a third party look at it. And that, again, that was Blake. And then he builds this Miro board. And with the Miro board, kind of walks through here's what you told me, here's what I found, here's my recommendations. Then obviously, there's ways to work with him beyond that, but he gives you a list of things that you can do immediately to impact change on your customer journey and how people find you and what happens to them when they find you. Before I go into the presentation, though, since I really don't have any housekeeping, since we're not CPE, we do want to post the one quick poll that we do have, and it's regarding our Be Insightful premium content offering. You should see it there on the screen. And basically, the Be Insightful program is a 9 training track program. Each track has 4 webinars a year with 1 to 2 hours of workshop, we'll call it, that takes place after, sometimes the next day, sometimes within a week or so. Tracks, as you can see in front of you, cover marketing, cover tax, practice management, human resources. We've got a coach's corner in there, tech stack, kind of a tech stack journey, and automations, and then a sales track. So we came up with these tracks based on kind of all the surveys that we've done over the years. There's been a pretty consistent theme throughout the years. Again, this is since the first one we did, which was probably 2014 or 15. Not surprising. Accountants don't get into accounting, into bookkeeping or tax to become marketing people. So sales and marketing is kind of a weak spot. So that's why we have a couple of tracks on that. If you want information on it, it is paid. We offer $1 for the first month, $49 a month after that, or a flat fee of, I think it's $4.99. You may find another offer somewhere on the website, but I think it's $4.99 currently. If you see us at a trade show, typically we'll have a different, little bit lower price there as well if you want to combine, sign up. So we'll go ahead and end that poll, and then I will just share, again, high level, what Blake is here to talk about. And again, his name is Blake Grewal. His company is called Customer IQ. Blake has his background is in marketing, sales and marketing. And as I mentioned, unable to be here. He had a death in the family. So I'm just going to pitch in real quick here. So a customer journey map, as I mentioned a minute ago, basically helps you kind of sit in the customer's seat and understand, okay, somebody shows up at your website. Well, how'd they get there? And what do they see? And again, what it did for us, third party eyes looked at our website, looked at our journey, and found a lot of things that we kind of knew were maybe not great. But when you have a third party say, hey, you're right, they're not great, you need to fix this, it's a little more impactful. So the first step in the journey is kind of 3 stages, right? Discovery, how do people find you? How do you engage with them? Onboarding, great, they get there, they come to your site, what happens? And then delivery and retention's key, right? And all of this is built to drive business, increase sales, and make your customer more sticky. So stage 1 of discovery, how do they find you? As I mentioned, Google Business Profile. If you've been on any of our sessions that Janelle Sikora has done, you'll know Google Business Profile, what she has said. And I spoke with somebody last week at an event last week also who completely agreed and said, if you could only do one thing, develop, build, and update your Google Business Profile. I guess you have to claim it first. Um, and keep that current and up to date. It's Google's first point of real contact with you. Um, the other option, local service ads, social media, which we're all inundated with. Um, I don't know this for sure, but since he has Instagram and Facebook, I'm assuming that's what he has seen as kind of the best sources for social media for accounting and tax firms. Then there's obviously you have to have a website and it needs to be search engine optimized. And then, word of mouth and flyers. Not sure if actually it'd be interesting. Just put it in the chat. Uh, do you use flyers? Is that something that you actually do? Maybe if you go to Chamber of Commerce meetings and things like that, or these alignable. If you're not familiar with alignable, you ought to check it out. It's it's an online community, but there's also face-to-face components. Like if there's like the one closest to me, I'm in the Atlanta area, North Atlanta. There's one in Lawrenceville that takes place about once a month. And then I think there's also one in Alpharetta that I've seen a couple of times over the past 6 months. Um, so if you're not on Alignable, check that out. That kind of could replace your flyers because it is a face-to-face opportunity. And let me just look real quick here if anybody chatted. All right, not yet. So okay, gonna move on to the next stage here. So onboarding. So what happens after interest is shown? Again, they show up your website. They're like, wow, this makes sense. This looks like this is a good fit for me. But what happens? Do they go into a funnel? Do they, and is it, as it says here, is it fast and is it clear? What we found is with our Be Insightful program, as we dug into it, it's not very clear. And so it made us have to pause and rethink what we're doing, what we're saying, and how we're saying it. Um, and then what are their actions? They can do an intro call, set up a visit, go to your Calendly link or whatever you may have as a client link. Is there a portal? Is there a checklist? Personalized communication that gets built out through the onboarding process. And then delivery and retention. Again, I'm just going through this really fast. This is Blake's content, but I just want to make sure you kind of understand the importance of going through this process. So then delivery and retention. So how do you stay top of mind with your clients? What are your resources that you can pull? Are they integrated? Are they connected? Are you doing updates and check-ins with customers, like recap and approval? I believe what he was saying there is, um, are you re-engaging with your clients? Okay, tax season ended. Well, for most, uh, sorry, Christine, I still have one thing outstanding, but for most, tax season ended, a month ago. And have you reached back out to your customers and asked, hey, how'd we do? Did you get a recap from them? Did you get them to say, yes, you did great? And if so, request reviews. That's another conversation I had last week with it's another marketing firm. And they basically said, you've got to request reviews. You have 50 clients, 100 clients, whatever it is. Most of them have a Gmail or a Google account. And in most cases, if you've done a good job, they'll say, hey, yeah, you did a great job. Gary, saved me $1 million in taxes. Great. Just ask them. But is that part of your process? Are you asking? If not, you should be. Build that into your process. And then, enable referrals and bookings. Referrals, this is your business. I mean, a lot of accounting firms, that is the core of your growth is referrals. And, leveraging the tools to ensure that you have a good process in place is what the customer journey map is all about, how it helps. So the second step, enhancing 3 key moments, as he puts it, there's insight, which is building trust. There's elevation, adding delight, and then connection. How do we stay in touch, which I mentioned a second ago, whether it's newsletters, whether it's um, even kind of going back to referrals, right? You could do an offer based a referral based offer. Hey, refer me to a client that signs up and give you whatever, half off your tax return next year. Totally making that up. But you know what resonates for your business, you know what resonates for your customers. So this process, again, is intended to help you think through this and help you build these things out. Step three, ask at every step, how does the customer feel? We're also going through another process with our company called scaling up. And one of the key tenets of the scaling up process is to, for everybody, senior management especially, to get on the phone or a Zoom call now and engage with customers. In our case, we have two tiers of customers, right? We have our sponsors, that's the ones paying our bills. I guess three now. Sponsors who pay our bills. We have our audience, like much like yourselves. You may be an audience member through webinar. You may be an audience member who subscribes to our newsletter. You may visit our website. You may be a member of our Be Insightful paid premium program. But we should be engaging with you and asking you, hey, how are we doing? Are we doing a good job for you? Did we meet your expectations? What more could we be doing for you? And then clarify, like button three there, what do they get from working with us? Okay, great. Great, Gary. I subscribe to your newsletter, but what does that really mean? What am I going to get out of that? What's in it for me? And then, what are the outcomes we're driving? How can we improve the process? How can we improve our service model for you? How can we improve what it is that we actually do that you showed up for? And then, which can help you identify, are we missing revenue opportunities? If you have bookkeeping clients and you're not doing their taxes, well, maybe you should, if you can't do taxes, maybe you should partner up with a tax firm. If you're a tax firm and you're not doing bookkeeping or client accounting services or whatever the buzzword is this month for client accounting services, um, huge opportunities sitting there. So again, the process helps you sit back and think, in this case, where's my missed revenue opportunities? You don't have to go out and find 100 new clients. If you can get your current 50 clients to double the revenue they're doing with you, or even 25% up the revenue they're doing with you, there's money on the table somewhere. Find it. So then step four, I don't really know what this means, make it visual. So I'm not even going to attempt it. But what I liked about what it says is kind of looking at the steps in the stage, right? So how many steps does it take to my customer to get to me or to get to my Calendly link or to get to my registration page? Too many steps, they're gone. You're going to lose them. And then elevation points, and then what are the tools, your CRM, your portals, your checklists that you have integrated from your website, from your newsletter, from your social media, that's keeping all of this stuff in one place so that you can leverage those contacts to do what we were just talking about, right? Increase your revenue or increase your engagement or get referrals. And then, up to the last one there, review and, referral opportunities, which we were just talking about. Again, if Blake was here, he could give you a little bit better understanding of what he meant by make it visual, but he is offering free customer journey maps for everybody on the session. So you can ask him when you set up your customer journey map. And then his pro tips for success. Use automation tools. Zapier is pretty easy to use if you just spend some time with it. CRMs are easy to use. Many practice management systems now have CRMs built in. And most of them, I think, are getting pretty good. Personalize, use names, right? Not, don't send a newsletter out that says, hey, customer. It's just that, hey, Gary, we love you. We appreciate you being here. Keep it human powered. I think what he's saying there, and again, his presentation, so I don't know this for sure, but I think what he's saying is, look, if you want to leverage ChatGPT, which I did for this presentation, this actually was a PDF, the PDF that we're going to give you It was a PDF format. I put it into Chat GPT, the free version. We have paid, but I just use the free version most of the time. Put it into that and said, hey, turn this into a PowerPoint presentation. And it did. So here we are. So I got a PowerPoint presentation. Took me all of, I think it was 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes to import the PDF and get this finished product. But keep it human powered, meaning when your messaging goes out, don't have it written by ChatGPT without reviewing it. Because if you have used those tools, it all sounds the same. It's like you can say, hey, put this in 4 different ways, but it all sounds the same. And to me, it all sounds like it's machine generated. And then revise and review that customer journey map regularly because things change. And you can find when you get in, and I know we'll see this on our website. And again, we're going through this process right now. When we get into it, we're going to find broken links. We're going to find likely outdated offers, or we're going to find where, especially with the number of webinars that we produce, I think we'll also find that the kind of capturing of contact info for our archived content isn't very good. And that's a great lead generation source for us that we're not leveraging. So all of this to say, um, you know, build that customer journey map. And Blake, as we mentioned, is offering a free session with him to build out this customer journey map. It took us about, I want to say it was about a 30 to 35-minute call. And the call basically goes from, hey, what are you trying to accomplish? How do you currently have clients? Like, where do you get clients? For us, there was multiple avenues. You may have multiple avenues as well. And then he takes that information, or actually, in the third thing, where do you want to go with your clients? Where do you want to take your clients? And so he takes that information, dumps it into what's the board called? It's called gosh, I had it up here on my other screen. I must have closed it. I think it's called a Wizzo board or something like that. And it's like a big, huge whiteboard, chalkboard. And it starts, hey, here's who we are. Here's what we said we wanted, or here's what we do currently. Here's where we said we wanted to go. And then he kind of dissects each area. Hey, you have newsletter subscribers. Okay, well, how does somebody get to your newsletter and to the subscription page? And when they get there, what do they see? Is it short? Is it long? Is it too engaged, too involved? Uh, keep it simple, right? And so the PDF that Matt has dropped into the chat, Matt, go ahead and drop that back in the chat again, just in case some people did not see it the first time. We'll also send this to you, and it'll be available in our archives as a downloadable resource. But I don't know if I can actually copy this. If I can, Matt, can you put the, whoopsie, can you put the link? I'm not sure if you can copy that link for the Calendly for Blake and drop that into the chat as well. But again, this will be in the PDF that is in the chat currently, and I'll see if I can drop it in there too. And again, we apologize for, I know you came expecting an hour-long CPE opportunity, but unforeseeable, uncontrollable circumstances just led to Blake not being able to be here. I just did drop the presentation into the chat for you. Go ahead and download that. Matt just dropped the link to Blake's customer journey mapping session into the chat as well. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out, or at least close out the presentation. If anybody, again, I'm not sure that I can answer a ton of questions around this, but as we have gone through this process, at least the first 20% of the process, I do have firsthand experience with it, and I can certainly answer what I can answer. So if you have any questions, please drop them into the chat. I'd be happy to just share what I do know. Otherwise, again, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate you staying around for 20 minutes or so for this short, condensed version of customer journey mapping. But if nothing else, what I do want to reiterate is do this. It's a free opportunity. Yes, it's a lead gen opportunity for him, but he is not a hard pressure sales guy. He will help you look at what you do currently and help you build a plan on the free side, right? Doesn't cost anything to do this. He'll help you identify your weak spots and where what you need to shore up. And then obviously he'd love to work with you in the long run to help you, build systems to re-engage and continue to engage with people. But like I said, he's not a high pressure sales guy. So I highly recommend doing this and taking him up on his free offer. So that's what I have. That's all I have to share. If anybody has any questions, I'll just hold this open just for another, 30 seconds or so, and just be monitoring the chat. Otherwise, hope you all have a wonderful afternoon and a good balance of the week. And it's almost summertime for those of you who have kids in school or wives who are teachers like myself. So again, thank you for being here. We certainly appreciate it. Appreciate you taking some time, spending a little bit of time with us, and again, want to highly encourage you to take advantage of Blake's offer for this customer journey map. I think it could be very enlightening for you and your practice. Thanks a lot.